can look at her and tell that. So with that, let's welcome Lisa Smith.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let me update the bio. So I retired from personal training years ago. Now I solely teach plant-based nutrition. I specialize in taking a whole food plant-based approach to combating chronic lifestyle disease. So things like obesity, hypertension, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune disease, mood disorders. How can we eat to better achieve optimal health and to better understand what we're combating? So I am the founder of a company called the Black Health Academy. I'm also the founder of the very first plant-based coaching certification to be founded by a person of color. So I certify other people in plant-based nutrition and help them to build a health coaching business, to teach them how to coach other people to living this amazing lifestyle that I love so much. But today we're talking about mindset, y'all. Y'all ready?
Ready.
Oh, I mean, are y'all ready?
Ready.
Okay, because I'm gonna get on your business and I'm gonna step on some toes. So tell Anita to lock the door. Nobody's allowed to leave.
You're doing a beautiful job, but you're speaking too fast for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna slow down. Any other instructions? Everybody's good? Okay, so let's rock and roll. So the title of my talk today is 5 limiting beliefs that's keeping you from vibrant health. 5 limiting beliefs that's keeping you from vibrant health. And this is derived from my years as a plant-based health coach. So I have spent many, many years helping other people to adopt a whole food plant-based vegan lifestyle. I am personally a plant-based vegan, but now I actually coach other people to building health coaching businesses. And in those 2 categories of people, I have seen and heard multiple limiting beliefs around what's keeping them from where they are and preventing them from where they want to go. So how many people know where we want to go all starts with what we think and what we believe, right? You guys know that conceptually, you guys know that intellectually, but sometimes it's still challenging to change the way we perceive our environment and our experience. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. So I'm hoping today that I can introduce you to some different perspectives and get you to thinking about your health a little differently, all right? All right, now if I drive down your street when I'm talking, I just need you to throw out an A if that's for you, okay? If I'm talking to you when I get to yours, okay? All right, so let's get started. Here's the first limiting belief that is keeping you from vibrant health. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. How many people have ever said this? This runs in my family. Yeah?
Yes.
So what happens when we say it runs in my family? We remove ownership, right? We say, this is in my DNA. This is in my genetics, right? There's nothing I can do about it, right? I was born with this predisposition, and unfortunately, it's my turn to get it. It's my turn to be overweight. It's my turn to be diabetic. It's my turn to have heart disease. It's my turn to have breast cancer. And so one of the top limiting beliefs I've heard from people over the years is, Lise, this runs in my family. And so because it runs in my family, what we do is we let ourselves off the hook, right? But how many people know what percentage that genetics play in our health and in our diagnosis? How many people know what percentage genetics plays a role in our health outcomes?
I think we all have the same type of thing. It's just how you eat and what you are perceiving and the habit of eating.
Okay.
You say less than 5%?
She said less than 5%. Very close. It's below 10%. Probably closer to 5. So how many people know that what you are diagnosed with or what you are battling is 90% lifestyle? 90% lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't care if grandma, auntie, and 3 cousins had type 2 diabetes. It is the lifestyle surrounding that made the determination of whether or not that would be their fate. Does everybody understand that?
Okay.
So this, it's not my fault, is untrue. So everybody is back on the hook. We got it? Somebody say I'm back on the hook.
Back on the hook.
Okay, because when we say it's our DNA, we allow ourselves to do less than we would if we recognized it was our fault. We think it doesn't matter what I eat because this runs in my family. It doesn't matter how I move because this runs in my family. It doesn't matter what I drink because this runs in my family. It doesn't matter what I smoke because this runs in my family. It doesn't matter how stressed out this job is. That doesn't matter. This runs in my family. Right? But when we recognize that it runs in my family, it's less than 10%, and 90% is the fact that I smoke, I drink, I'm stressed out, I don't have love, I don't have purpose, I'm being disobedient, then we got to take ownership. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, 5 limiting beliefs that's keeping you stuck. We got the first one? So we're all back on the hook, right? Because genetics does not determine our fate. Can we be predisposed for something? Yes. So I'm not saying genetics doesn't matter, but what our genes do is give us data to help us make better decisions. So if mom and dad were addicts, that means we have to make different choices than someone whose parents were not. Yes, we can have increased chances of something, but increased chances does not determine outcomes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Number 2, the second limiting belief that's keeping us stuck is, I heard someone allude to this one during their introduction. I'm not hurting anyone. All right, right. I'm only hurting myself by being unwell. So when I have a diagnosis, when I am on a medication, when I don't eat right, when I don't exercise, I'm not hurting anyone. But this gentleman right here, he stood up and said, I'm trying to be healthy because I got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. And so what I need you to understand is that being unhealthy and having a diagnosis is not a victimless crime. It's not a victimless crime, right? So every day that we're disobedient around what we're supposed to be eating, what we're supposed to be drinking, how we're supposed to be moving, we are literally compromising our assignment on this planet. Can I give you an example? If I hadn't slept well last night, if I had decided to start my day with caffeine and a donut and a bagel with dairy spread on it, I would not be my best self right now. And you guys wouldn't know, but I would know that I'm compromising your experience because I'm tired and I'm sluggish and I'm overwhelmed. Every moment that we're disobedient, we're disappointing somebody else. So being in a hospital, having a diagnosis, being on a medication is not a victimless crime. So I have a program, and it's called Farm to Table, right? And it's a plant-based coaching program. And I created Farm to Table in 2016. And today, when we enroll people in Farm to Table, they have to go through an application process. So they can't just pay and get in, right? And so they have to fill out an application, and then they have to have an interview with me. And during the interview, I ask them, what are your health goals? And then I ask them, what do you hope to achieve by achieving these health goals? And inevitably, you know what they share with me? Businesses they want to start, nonprofits they want to start, grandkids they want to play with, traveling they want to do, worlds they want to see, experiences they want to have. And I said, okay, so we're very clear what's on the line if we don't achieve our goals. Being unhealthy is not a victimless crime. When you eat that mess, or when you make a choice not to work out, or when you make a decision to stay in a situation that stresses you out and makes you unhappy, you are not just hurting you.
So you're saying what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve?
I hope so. I like to think. I'm struggling. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. At this point in my career, as a health coach, as a speaker, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, I'm really struggling with this concept, is everybody capable?
Yes, you're capable.
Right? I like to believe it. I like to believe it. I'm like, do they just not have enough to strive for? Is everybody capable? Because many people stop, start over, give up, start over, give up, stop. And I'm like, is it true that all of us are capable? That's the thing I struggle with. Because we have to know that our disobedience is tied to somebody's disappointment every single time. Every single time you're letting down somebody when you are not your best self. So being unhealthy is not a victimless crime. So for some of you, it's very clear. I recognize that this week I was overwhelmed. I wasn't the best parent to my kids. I realized I wasn't the best partner to my spouse, right? I realized I didn't show up at my company the way I should. But some of us, we don't have all of that. And we think, I'm not hurting anybody by stopping at this drive-thru. I'm not hurting anybody by skipping my workout. I'm not hurting anybody. But it's untrue. Everybody got that? So one thing we need to understand to stay on track and make healthy choices and make good decisions is that I'm hurting somebody every time I make the decision to do something other than what I know I'm supposed to do. If you got it, say got it.
Got it.
Okay.
Excuse me,
I love the front row.
I don't want to, are we allowed to interject as you go along, or you prefer to say the questions afterward?
I prefer to save them at the end. Is it pressing on your spirit? You gotta get it out. Cause I understand that too.
Well, okay, let me get it out.
Okay.
It's just that when you go to the doctor, the first thing they ask you, who in your family have this or that, and it seems like they are contributing that illness to your mother, your,
You're 100% right.
and so that's what I'm saying now, because you gave a whole different perspective. Because if I do what I'm supposed to do, it would eliminate it or lower it, whatever's going on.
Yeah. So she said, every time I go to the doctor, one of the first things they ask me is who in my family might have this and what's my family history, which will lead me to believe that my family history plays a huge role in this,
Right.
and maybe there's less that I can do
Yeah.
than I initially thought. So what you're talking about is the difference between genetics versus epigenetics. Okay? So you're 100% right. The doctor, your healthcare provider absolutely wants to know your family health history. And we should, because again, genetics do play a part. But you're also right that in our healthcare system in America, we put a lot of burden on our family, and we think, hey, mom had it. This was it. Like mom was suffering with depression. I do too. It is what it is. Right. And so we just take it and think there's not much we can do. However, there's this thing called epigenetics. This prefix epi, EPI, means above the gene. Epi means above. So epigenetics means that your environment, your lifestyle, the circumstances surrounding you are what's playing the biggest role in what genes express themselves. So you can have the gene for Alzheimer's, right? You can have the ApoE4 gene. You can have the gene for Alzheimer's. However, if you eat bad, and let's say eat a bunch of animal products that's full of saturated fat and cholesterol that clogs the arteries, you are then clogging the arteries that lead to the brain, that increases the chances that that ApoE4 gene will express itself. Having it is not the same as it expressing itself.
Right.
Right? That's important to know. So you can be predisposed for breast cancer. Some people, some women's chances and men's chances are higher than others. That is very true. However, if you also suffer with low emotional intelligence and don't know how to process your grief and your anger, you can increase your chances of breast cancer.
Most definitely.
Right? And so it is how we live our lifestyle, the epigenetics, that plays the biggest role in what genes express themselves. I have decided in my life that I'm going to tell my genes when to talk. They don't get to express themselves when they feel like it. Right? And so that's the decision you have to make. So thank you for that comment. That was good. You got out your spirit?
Yes.
Okay. Amen. All right. All right. Number 3. Y'all ready for number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's the next limiting belief that's keeping us stuck and keeping us from vibrant health. Okay. This is a big one. Make sure the door is locked and lead up. Okay. I'm qualified to solve my problem. Let me tell you something about y'all smart people. Ooh, y'all so smart. I'm talking about intellectual intelligence, like degrees, certifications, titles, alphabets. Ooh, y'all smart. Awareness of your problem does not qualify you to solve it. How many people have ever said, I know my issue is sugar, right? I know my issue, I just need to drink more water. Like, I know my problem, it's those potato chips, right? And so because you, okay, so, okay, somebody got hit, straight bullet, okay. So because we know our problem, we assume we don't need help with fixing it. Next time you go to your office, or your home office, or whatever it is, next time you're reflecting back on your life, I need you to try and remember what that degree said. Did it say anything about health coaching, therapy, anything? Probably not. You ain't qualified. That ain't what you went to school for. But just because you're smart enough to identify what your issue is, you think I don't need help because if I just stop eating sugar, I'll be fine. If I just eat less sugar, I'll be fine. If I can just get rid of this salt, I'll be fine. I just need to increase my vegetables. I'll be fine. I just need to drink my amount of water. I just need to be consistent with my exercise and I'll be fine. How long you been saying that? you need help. Okay? You can be self-aware and unqualified at the same time.
Explain that.
Oh, I love a good explain that. Okay. Yes. So that means I can be very much aware that the reason I'm making the decisions I'm making is because of some childhood trauma that's unresolved. That means I can be very much aware that I'm not losing this weight because I have an issue with candy. But that doesn't mean you are able to stop yourself from eating candy just because you know it's your problem. That doesn't mean you're able to coach yourself through that childhood trauma that keeps coming back up just because you know it exists. Does that make sense, y'all? So awareness of the problem does not qualify y'all to solve it. This is why we stay in situations that are unhealthy for so long. It's because we think, I don't need to raise my hand and get the help. I don't need to join a program. I don't need a coach because I already know what my issue is. I'll come listen to everybody else trying to figure their stuff out, but I know my issue because I'm so smart. But you didn't go to school for this. I promise you, you didn't. So stop thinking just because I know what my issue is, that I don't need help solving it.
Because it is the start to be able to identify. That's the part.
It is the start. Absolutely. Self-awareness is the start. Absolutely. We gotta identify it. We can't address anything that has not been revealed. Absolutely. We need to identify it. We need to own it. Right? Like, no, at least I ain't got an issue with sugar, but you keep asking me, what's some good sugar substitute? I don't have one. Abstinence. That's the the best I can do. That's it. Stop eating it, right? Because did y'all know the only way to get over an addiction is abstinence? Not moderation. How many people been trying to moderate their addiction? Potato chips and salt and soda and okay, all right, we'll talk about it later. Don't worry about it. We'll wait till we get warmed up a little more and then we'll talk about it, okay? But it is important to know, guys, if you know you're struggling with something, like, don't think you have the brevity of time, right? Don't assume that I'll have the time and the capacity to work on this eventually, or when I get around to it. Like, soon as you identify that it's a problem, work on it. And working on it sometimes means asking for the help because you can't do it yourself, right? I've been trying to moderate my affinity to this substance for a long time and it's not working. It's not working. And so I need help, even though I know what my problem is. Let me tell y'all a quick story. Y'all down for a quick story?
Yes.
Okay. It's unrelated to health, okay? But I got into therapy a couple years ago, and it was because when I was young, my mom and my dad divorced, and they were co-parenting. So he would come pick me up, and we would do visitation, and everything is cool. And then one day he stopped, and I haven't seen him from that day to this one. I haven't seen him since, right? So I remember I was going to Wayne State pre-med a couple years ago, and I was sitting on the campus in between classes, and I was listening to this talk by Les Brown, and Les Brown is adopted, and he was talking about how happy and blessed he felt because his parents chose him. And I broke down and started crying. I was like, ooh, my dad didn't choose me, right? And so I was like, ooh, it hurt. And so I found a therapist. I got into therapy. I walked into the therapist's office. Let me tell you what my problem is. You're not gonna have to work that hard on me. I already know what my problem is. This is what I told her, y'all know. I'm not even exaggerating, right? I'm like, you might owe me money at the end of this. Here's my problem. I was like, my dad left when I was younger. I haven't seen him since. And because of that, I have this overachiever thing called I'm not enough syndrome because I'm steadily chasing achievements so that I can give my dad a reason to love me. About 3 weeks into the session, she was like, that's not your problem at all. Right? So here's the thing about self-awareness. We might even think we know our problem, but haven't got a second opinion to be so wrong. Right? So with your smart, sophisticated self, right? Whatever story you've been telling yourself, she was like, you were always going to be successful. That you don't do this and you don't excel the way you do because he left. That's not what's happening here. And she broke it down for me, right? But I definitely went in her office like, here's your light work for the day, right? You know, you can do the heavy lifting with everybody else, right? And so I want to just offer you guys that as well. Just be careful with thinking. I've identified what the issue is. Because I'm gonna tell you, one of the biggest issues with people that come to me for health coaching is sugar. And they're like, just tell me what to eat instead of this, instead of the bad stuff. And they think sugar is their problem. Y'all want to know a secret about addiction?
What is it?
Sugar is not the problem, it's the answer. Alcohol is not the problem, it's their answer. The question is to what? Okay, let me say it again. Tracy got it? Okay, that means that they're coming to me trying to figure out what to eat in place of sugar. We don't even need to have a conversation about sugar. I need to know what emotion you're bearing with the sugar. You have decided that sugar is your answer to whatever you're feeling. Okay, I was waiting for one, and I'm like, damn, I'm here 15 minutes, right? So does that make sense? So they think they're coming to me to get a new meal plan or a dietary approach to their issue. And I'm like, no, that ain't the problem we gotta talk about. It's a symptom of a bigger problem. They like, I can't seem to be consistent with exercise. Give me some tips. Lisa, what time of day you work out? How often you work out? How deep do you squat? Like, make it happen. Like, that ain't the issue. That's not even your issue. So they think they know their problem. I just need a strategy to exercise more frequently, right? Just give me your schedule, Lisa, and I can follow that, and I'm gonna be able to do what you do and look like you look. I'm like, that's not your issue. After talking to you for 10 minutes, I realized you got confidence issues. The gym intimidates you. You're ashamed that you're deprogrammed and programmed from where you were years ago, and that you have this mental. It's a whole nother conversation. We don't need a schedule or a sugar substitute. And so just be careful thinking you know the problem, and just be careful thinking you're qualified to solve it. Make sense? Okay, let's go to number 4. I thought I was gonna be able to, okay. I don't know how to do it. Okay. Okay, here's the 4th limiting belief that's keeping us from getting vibrant health. This is what we tend to believe. Good decisions. Good decisions require preparation. Good decisions require preparation. Now, let me tell you something about being a plant-based vegan. Let me be clear, I'm a plant-based vegan. So I'm not just a vegan who just eats anything long as there's not animal products in it. I don't eat vegan junk food. I don't eat all that processed mess. Like, I don't eat refined sugar. I don't eat excess oil. So being a plant-based vegan is harder than just being a vegan, right? Because I don't just not eat animals. I intentionally eat plants. There's a difference. You cannot eat animals and never eat plants, okay? So I'm a whole food plant-based vegan. And so when people come to me and come through Farm to Table and come through my programs, they understand that I'm training them and coaching them to being a whole food plant-based vegan. And so you know what they say all the time, y'all, when they slip up or have something that they, don't feel like they should have had. This is gonna sound real familiar to y'all. You just raise your hand if you said this before. I ate that because I was unprepared. Not the low hand. I love take a low hand. I ate that because I didn't plan my meals. Okay, thank you for the honesty. Right, so people say I made that choice because I didn't have a plan or I wasn't prepared. Has anybody used that excuse before? Okay, so here's the mindset shift that I need you to have. Good decisions do not require preparation. You don't make unhealthy choices because you didn't meal prep yesterday. That's making the assumption that in order to make healthy choices for the remainder of your life, you need to always be prepared. Is that realistic? It's unrealistic to think we're gonna always have pre-planned and premeditated our meals, our day, our workout, whatever it is.
You seem to have control.
You have control, but what happens on the days and the weeks where you didn't plan? Is it still possible to make good decisions?
No.
False. It is very possible to still make good decisions even though you didn't plan. What's required to make a good decision even though you didn't plan? So you might not know what you're eating for lunch tomorrow. Does that mean you're let off the hook for going to the drive-thru? No. What's required to make a good decision is non-negotiables, not preparation. All the time, people tell me, I ate this because I wasn't prepared. The family was traveling, we were on vacation, I was in the airport, and I ate this, I ate that. We were at Thanksgiving, we were at Christmas, and I ate this and I drank that because I didn't plan my meals. I didn't bring my food with me. I didn't know what I was gonna eat, so I just ate that. Good decisions do not require preparation. They require non-negotiables. I have no clue what I'm eating for dinner tonight. I have no clue what I'm eating tomorrow.
But you can be selective.
I can be selective, but most importantly, I can have non-negotiables. I don't have to know what I'm gonna eat. I need to know what I'm not gonna eat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what we have to stop doing is thinking that the only way to make a good decision is to always be prepared. That is so unrealistic. You will not always be prepared in life. But what you do need to decide, what you should never leave home without, is your non-negotiables. I don't care what's on this resort. I don't care what's in this airport. I don't care what's at my grandma's house. I don't eat dairy. It's non-negotiable. Whether you have, it doesn't matter whether you have a dairy-free meal or not. I don't eat dairy. Does that make sense? Like, I don't eat animals, like I don't eat sugar. It doesn't matter. So it's not that I'm prepared, it's that I have non-negotiables. And so when we change that shift, when we change that mindset, we're then able to adhere to our goals and to healthy choices. Okay? So good decisions do not require preparation.
It's easier if you do, because that's requires an iron will.
Yeah, and you said it's easier if you do what, or if you're prepared? Yeah, you're 100% right. But we all make good decisions when we're prepared. I ain't need to tell y'all that part. You know what I'm saying?
But if you are adamant that you're not going to eat fried chicken, you know what it's gonna do to you. Let's say that something will upset you, you're allergic to shellfish.
Mhm.
Now, you know that's all they got, you can't eat it because you're gonna have a problem.
Right.
Now, you have to make up your mind, well, you know what's gonna happen to you.
That's right.
But this is where I think my bad decisions come in. You said, you gave it to me now. I was in the hospital emergency room. I had not had anything to eat since 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the least bad thing I can get on this counter?
Yeah.
So,
But and so, okay. She said, I was in a hospital room. I hadn't had nothing to eat since 1 o'clock and I had to make a better bad decision, which is language I gave her. Yeah. Backfiring is something else. That's language I gave her some years ago, right? But she said, and so I was thinking, what is the least bad thing I can eat here? That's fine. We have to make choices like that all the time. But what did you break a non-negotiable? See, making a better bad decision still doesn't mean you're compromising your non-negotiables. I've had to do it. Like, well, give me the French fries, right? I'm still not gonna, there's still some things I'm not going to do. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean that I eat perfect all the time, but every choice I make is within my non-negotiables. Does that make sense, y'all? So yeah, you're gonna have some stuff that's not ideal. You're gonna make choices that are not ideal. Yeah, you probably would have preferred to work out 5 times this week. You only got in 3, but not working out is a non-negotiable. Like, I'm not gonna not move. I would have preferred to be at my home gym, but I'm out wherever I am and they only got this trail I can only walk. Okay. My non-negotiable is exercise. It's not the circumstance in which it occurs. So yes, your choices will be altered because life is gonna life, but we still have non-negotiables, and a non-negotiable means just that. This is not negotiable in my life. This is what I absolutely do, but this is what I absolutely don't do. We should have non-negotiables in every area of our life. Health, money, relationships, purpose, personal development, whatever it is. Like, I don't care what it is, I don't lie. It's just who I am, it's who I've decided to be. So don't think that to make a good decision, you have to be prepared. I wasn't prepared, so I lied. No. You don't have to, everything doesn't have to be premeditated for you to make good decisions for yourself. You know what I'm saying, y'all? That makes sense? Because it's just unrealistic for us to always be in ideal situations. But there are gonna be some times where you make choices like, this could have been better. I would have preferred something different, but that doesn't mean you broke your non-negotiables. Does that make sense, Jen? Okay, all right. Y'all ready for the last one? It's been helpful so far? Okay, all right, okay, let's get it. Here's the final limiting belief that keeps us stuck. It takes time to transition. This word right here It's the bane of my existence. Transition. Okay, now we're talking about health. Let me be clear. Let me put some small print on this. Let me preface this. Okay. There are some things in life that you absolutely have to transition to. Absolutely. Everything is not a situation, right? Health ain't one of them. Nah. When it comes to your health, it's a decision, not a transition. For many of us, we believe, and I'm gonna tell you, let me tell you what happens, right? I be on the riverfront walking, jogging, okay? Now I jog past somebody and I hear, Lisa A. Smith. I turn around, I'm on your email list. I came to one of your talks, blah, 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 right? And then they'll come up to me and they'll want to give me an update. You know, I'm doing better. I didn't even ask for none of this. I was running, okay? But for some reason, when people run into me in the street, they feel the need to give me an update. I appreciate it. I love y'all, okay? So they like, I'm still on a journey. I'm doing better. You know, I done gave up the dairy, but I'm still working on the chicken. And then they say the T word, y'all. I'm in transition. I'll be like, okay, good luck, and run off before I get upset. Y'all wanna know why? Because why do you transition off the chicken? You just make a decision. It's not a transition. It's just a decision. Everything is not a transition. Everything doesn't take a year, 2 years. I'm doing better with that sugar. At least I came to your talk where you had said that sugar increases my chances for Alzheimer's. I was like, it does. And they were like, that really hit me because my father had it. Okay, now we're going somewhere. So I'm in transition. I'll be like, why? Or door number B says, you could wake up tomorrow and make a decision. One of the things that keeps us stuck in life in any area of our life is delayed decision making. Delayed decision making. We spend so much time and so much mental real estate not making a decision. And so we toggle and we stay in this gray area in our life. We don't decide what we want to do for our career. We don't decide what we want to do in this relationship that's causing us grief. We don't decide what we want to do on our health. We're not making decisions. And because we're not making decisions, it's keeping us in less than ideal circumstances. You know, one of the worst places to be in the world is in the middle. Like, I'd rather for you to just be like, I ain't never given up sugar. And I came to all your talks. Make a decision, because I'm not asking you which decision to make. Just stop playing me. I was running, okay? You interrupted my flow with your nonsense, because you're lying to both of us. It don't take all of that. You just have to decide. And let me tell you how you decide. Okay, I have a mastermind that I host, right? So I took my mastermind on a retreat 2 weekends ago in Arizona. And I was doing a lecture for them called The 3 Ways that I've made doing hard things second nature. Okay. And one of the things that I told them was, one of the ways I make tough decisions and I force myself to do hard things in life is by deciding that where I am is unbearable. One of the worst places to be is in a place where it ain't that bad. It's not optimal, but it ain't that bad. That's called the middle. It's so unsafe in the middle. Like, most of the people in the world live their life in the middle. Most of the people in the world live their life mediocre, where they're not the lowest of the low, but they could be way better, but they're not making decisions. I don't want to be in the middle. I just rather make a decision and decide which end I'm going to be at. This health thing, whether you want to give up meat, whether you want to give up dairy, whether you want to give up sugar, whether you want to exercise more, drink more water, whatever it is, it requires a decision right now. It does not require a transition. You do not have to wait 2 weeks. This does not take 6 months. You can literally just decide that where I am is unbearable and I'm willing to make a decision to get somewhere else. Does that make sense?
It makes good sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you know, the illustration, if a person has diabetes.
Yeah.
That either you want to get better or you don't. And if you know if you eat the sugar, you're gonna go blind. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's gonna happen. If you make up your mind that you don't wanna be in a wheelchair, you don't want people bathing, sitting around the house waiting for somebody to come to your house and bathe you.
This is so good. You just said something. Can I share one more thing with y'all? Is that okay? Because we got time. Okay, because you just said something and I kind of want to correct it a little bit. You said if you got diabetes and you want to get better, you got to do what you need to do, right?
Right.
I used to think that too. I used to think that too. I used to be like, if you overweight and you don't want to be overweight, if you're hypertensive and you don't want to be hypertensive, if you have this diagnosis, if you don't want, like, doesn't not wanting to be there equate to doing the thing to get from there? I used to think that. I was wrong. And that's when I created this thing called the trifecta of transformation. I'm gonna break it down for y'all real quick, okay? This is the trifecta, this is for my note takers. This is a framework that I created that helped me better understand and to also teach to my coaches how to understand when somebody is prepared to change. What she just said is, like, if you have diabetes and you want to get better, and what she was alluding to here is desire. So there are three things that people need before they are ready to make a change, right? There are three major things. What she just mentioned was the desire. So I don't feel good and I want to feel better, right? I don't have the money, I want to have the money. I don't have a relationship, I want the relationship. The easiest thing to do on the planet is to desire, is to want. It's the easiest thing to do. But here's how the rest of us are fooled. We think when somebody desires something, that means they're willing to do what it takes to get it. Not true. Those are two separate things. So desire is the first thing somebody needs, right? This is just wanting. I want X. The second thing somebody must have before they're ready to transform is willingness.
But you say enthusiasm and desire.
Yeah, enthusiasm goes with desire because it's so fun to daydream.
Mhm.
It's so fun to want, right? Like, I'm gonna be a multi-millionaire. I daydream about it all the time. I'm just one of those people that's gonna do what it takes to get there. A lot of people done daydream with me though, right? It's gonna be a much smaller pool of us at the top, but it was a whole bunch of us at the bottom when we was just desiring it, right? Desire is just wanting. So what we do is we listen to our friends and our family and our clients and whoever, and we listen to everything they want. And we think that means they have the willingness to do what it takes. And those are not the same thing. Those are not the same thing. And one can only make the decision of whether or not they have the willingness after their expectations are set of what's required. So if I tell you, absolutely, I have put people's type 2 diabetes in remission, which I have. Like, I'm telling you exactly what you need to do to get there. We got to give up all the animal products because the root of type 2 diabetes is not sugar, it's saturated fat. So I tell them all the meat, eggs, dairy, seafood has to go.
Oh, you see food too?
Amen.
Answer that question again.
Now you see where willingness comes into play?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, oh yeah. All that saturated fat and cholesterol from fish? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what keeps the sugar in our bloodstream and prevents it from going into our muscle and liver cells. Absolutely. You're a type 2 diabetic, you absolutely need to be on an animal-free diet. Right?
But, you know, but I wasn't aware of that, but I'll tell you something really weird. They had a meeting with, at Ford Hospital yesterday. And they were talking about eating properly and all these different things. Then they had us to line up with these boxes of crap that it was all the things you shouldn't eat for the seniors. Potato chips, they had all the cookies and all this stuff. So I looked and I said, I'm eating this. And so, you know, I went and I bought some beef, but I just,
Yeah.
you know, I made, well, I know I'm not gonna eat it.
Right.
And then I think they're contradictory.
Yeah. Oh, all the time. Let me tell you one of the worst things I hate when I get invited to speaking engagement. Lisa, can you come speak on this panel? Can you come share? The audience always loves you. Can you come speak? Now I'll be like, who else gonna be there and what y'all eat? Because I'm not about to stand up here and tell these people that sugar is the #1 cause of their memory loss, and y'all got cookies and donuts on the side table. You're gonna have to make it make sense for me. So I feel you.
And I'm sitting up there, you know, I couldn't believe that they were giving us all this stuff.
Mess. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, put it all in the trash.
Yeah, where it belongs.
Yeah, but you said enthusiasm and desire and the willingness.
Yeah.
And you make up your mind that you don't want to be in the wheelchair and you don't want to be, if you make up your mind Well, none of that other stuff, I had made up my mind.
Right, making up your mind is establishing non-negotiables, but willingness requires expectations. So you can make up your mind that you're not gonna be in a wheelchair. You can make up your mind that I'm getting off this metformin, I'm getting off this insulin, I'm getting off this statin, right? I'm getting off of this hypertensive drug. You can make up your mind. But then when you consult with someone who knows how to do it and they tell you what it takes, you gotta make up your mind again.
Yes.
Cause they're gonna tell you, no, like, you're gonna be like, so no seafood? Like no chicken?
But if you didn't know that this was in there, that's the one thing.
Yeah.
You don't know what, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you didn't know, it's not the desire is there, but you gotta know all the things that's
That's
causing your
required.
problem.
Yeah,
You gotta be educated.
You gotta be educated. You have to know all the things that cause your problem, because most people think diabetes is just a sugar problem. I control my sugar, at least I don't drink pop anymore. I don't eat candy as much as I used to. I'm doing much better. And I'm like, that's cool, but it turns out it's the chicken. It turns out it's the salmon. Now you got the shrimp, absolutely, full of cholesterol.
Salmon, they tell you the salmon is good for you.
Yeah, so now you have to decide, am I willing to pursue my desire?
But tell me what to do to replace it. That's what I want.
Different lecture, why you stay focused, okay? All right, so you guys, okay, so you got the first two, right? So this, don't be fooled like I was. I spent the first couple years of my career mad. Like, why everybody keep coming to me telling me they want this, and then I tell them they said they wanted it. Yeah, because wanting is free. Desire costs you nothing. But when you set their expectations, what it's gonna take, I'm like, oh, you're gonna have to drink 25 ounces of water first thing in the morning every day. We gotta get rid of the coffee. We gotta get rid of the soda. We gotta get rid of the caffeine. They'd be like, all of it? Now they gotta reevaluate their desire. Okay, so that's the first two, desire and willingness. Now, these first two are inside job. Okay, this is your job. Your job is to want it. My job is to tell you what it's gonna take to get it. Okay, and so then we establish willingness. This third one, you usually have to outsource. Capability. Okay, I desire to be free of this diagnosis. I have also now decided that I'm willing to do what it takes to get rid of the diagnosis. Yeah, Lisa, I'm in. I'm willing to give up all the animal products. I'm willing to do everything you say. I'm willing to work on a chronic stress. I'm willing to do it all these. I'm like, okay, let's get to work, right? So now capability is my job as their coach. I have to give them all the tools, all the instruction, all the coaching to make them capable enough to do it. These are the three components of a transformation: desire, willingness, and capability, right? Because it doesn't matter how much you want a successful business or a successful company. Doesn't matter how much you're willing to do everything it takes to get it. You have no idea about running a business. You ain't capable. You don't run it into the ground. You don't know anything. You don't know the difference between revenue and profit. You don't know how to hire. You don't know how to market. You don't know what marketing strategy matches with your business model. You don't even know what a business model means, right? I spent thousands of dollars becoming capable to run my company. Okay, so capability typically comes from an outside source collaborating. Same thing with your health. It kind of goes back to number 3. I desire to be healthy. I'm willing to do what it takes, but I'm not qualified to solve my problem. Does that make sense, y'all?
It makes sense.
Okay, so I'm gonna give y'all one bonus one number 6. So somebody alluded to this earlier. So let's do a number 6. Okay, now, y'all be easy now, okay? Okay. Number 6.
Lisa, before you go on 6, the triangle you had.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you were gonna put in, think discipline is primary.
That goes under willingness. Are you willing to be disciplined? That's when I set your expectation and tells you what's required to get what you desire. Yeah, so any character trait, discipline, confidence, courage, whatever, that's all under willingness.
Do we have the desire, but do you have the discipline to attain this?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Everything that's required to get what you desire goes under what, am I willing to be disciplined? Okay. Am I willing to say no when I really want to say yes? Am I willing to say yes when I really want to say no? Absolutely.
Then that'll help you make a decision.
Absolutely it will, okay? Here's the last limiting belief that's keeping us stuck, guys. Okay. Ooh, I thought transition was if transition is my least favorite word, this is my least favorite phrase. And I would just say, I know most of y'all can't see this. Everything in moderation.
I heard that a lot.
Not more than me.
Everything what?
In moderation.
Oh,
When we want to eat some, don't nobody say this when they about to eat a bowl of kale. Okay, don't nobody say this when they munching on blueberries. We only say it when what? We say when you got chicken, when you got some nuts, right? Everybody justifies their bad decisions, their bad nutritional decisions.
But what's, you gotta do blueberries?
I ain't got nothing against blueberries.
Well, you just said, stop.
I'm saying, don't nobody say everything in moderation when they eat blueberries, when they eat something healthy.
Yeah,
They only say it when they eat some junk.
I eat a lot of blueberries.
No, blueberries is fine. I'm not coming for blueberries. Okay. So what I'm saying is, this is nonsense. Okay, people say this when they want a burger, when they want some bacon.
An excuse.
Please, absolutely. When they want cake, another serving of dessert, everything, and little ice cream, everything
Or
in
somebody trying to
moderation.
make you eat because they're eating.
Everything in moderation.
That's
Right,
not
they'll
true.
put it on you. You can't, you done already said no. You done established your non-negotiables. You done already said no, and they will tell you everything in moderation. For you, not for me. I have non-negotiables and I've made decisions about some things. Let me tell you, I'm a plant-based vegan and I do not eat sugar. I don't moderate sugar. I don't eat a little bit. Well, Lisa, it's a vegan carrot cake. You can have it. No, you can have it. I don't eat sugar. And why don't I even eat sugar in moderation? Because I speak for a living, I teach for a living, I coach for a living, and I personally cannot afford to compromise my brain. I don't not eat sugar for my body. I actually don't eat it for my brain. Sugar causes memory loss. Sugar causes hyperactivity in the brain. It's what we call an excitotoxin.
The kids bounce around.
Absolutely, overly stimulated, right? So I don't eat sugar because every time I show up on somebody's stage or on somebody's mic, I want to show up like this. I want to have access to everything I know quickly. I can't afford to lose my memory when they only gave me 45 minutes on stage, because somebody's going to ask me a question. I could potentially save their life or change the trajectory of their life with the information I know, but that's only if I can access it. And sugar causes you to lose your memory. And so I don't eat everything in moderation because I can't afford to moderate my impact in this world. I knew that was a bar. Somebody.
That was a bar.
Okay.
That was a bar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does that
But
make
can
sense?
you restore yourself after you, let's say you got off all the sugar? I mean, all of it.
Yeah.
Does it bring some other things back?
Oh, absolutely. So she said, can you restore yourself if you got off of stuff? Absolutely, it can bring some stuff back. However, there is a point of no return. There is a point that you could get to where you're not coming back from some of this. We can get you better, right? We can reduce the medication, but you may have gotten to a point where you can't fully reverse all of this. And that's the point we want to avoid. Does that make sense, everybody?
It makes absolute sense.
Was this helpful?
Yeah.
Ooh, come on now.
But I'm gonna
Questions or
ask
comments?
you one question.
One question.
Talk about dairy. I like yogurt. Dairy that has 1 gram of sugar in it. Okay, now tell me.
I ain't doing nothing, just starring this one. Go ahead. It's a decision, but go ahead, tell you about dairy. You like yogurt.
Well, I put blueberries, I put all kind of healthy stuff.
Pretty it up, yeah.
And it's just supposed to have what, it's called Too Good.
Mhm.
And so I buy that. I put all kinds of.
So what's your question? It sounds like you sold on the yogurt.
But no, I find to get off of it, I will, but I need to have something in place of that. I don't wanna, you can't remove something without, you're more likely to succeed.
If you
You
have
have
a place.
something in place of it.
Okay, so what do you think you need the yogurt for? What are you eating it for from a nutritional standpoint?
I thought, well, the health bone density or something.
Oh, calcium.
Yeah.
Okay, all calcium comes from dark leafy greens, not yogurt, not dairy.
Okay.
So the calcium that you get from dairy is highly inflammatory because of the presence of the dairy itself. the mucus, the lactose, it creates a lot of mucus in the body. Okay,
Okay.
so dairy, the top two inflammatory things that we consume is sugar and dairy.
Yeah.
Okay, and so even though you might get something good from something like calcium, it doesn't mean that the bad properties don't outweigh
Like
it.
it erases the burn.
Exactly, or outweigh the good that you might be getting from it. Okay, so the dairy actually increases the chances of like osteoporosis and
Really?
absolutely. Do you need calcium? Yes, but there's a cleaner source,
But what's the source?
dark leafy greens.
I don't agree. I remember the yogurt. I put it all.
Yeah. So dairy, there's nothing health promoting about dairy. One of the worst things about dairy is the excess mucus it creates in the body. And mucus is the #1 carrier of disease in the body.
Okay, so if you eat the green, leafy greens, and this is gonna stimulate, the brain.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite type of green leafy thing?
My favorite type of leafy green,
Yeah,
I'm actually a big fan of cooked kale and raw spinach.
raw spinach? Okay.
In my smoothies. Had a salad this morning for breakfast. There's no such thing as breakfast, but
Thank
Uh,
you.
my pleasure. Thank you for
What do you
coming.
mean there's no such thing as breakfast?
But breakfast food is a made-up concept. You're just breaking the fast. You were asleep all night, you were fasting, your first meal is breakfast, but it doesn't matter
How
what
about
it is.
water? You take that first thing. You gotta have.
You
something.
should. You should. Water should be the first thing. We should drink 25 ounces within 30 minutes of waking up.
Oh, okay.
We turn this into a nutrition session. Any other questions
I
though?
had to ask. You
Oh,
were
no.
saying all that.
Oh, no, I appreciate your questions.
And we would like people to stay as long as Lisa will
Okay.
stay and answer